Greetings. Welcome to Unit 3 of Module Human Psychology and International Relations. Students, this unit tries to uncover the theoretical orientations of psychology and international relations. So, how do we understand the idea of cooperation and conflict? How do we try and do negotiations? How do we look at the concept of perception, misperception, how an idea tends to be perceived differently by different people? What are the contextual lights of it? What is the background? How do we look at the implications of any kind of decision that is taken? How stored fear in an individual, how the idea of aggression or maybe revenge, how they act out while we create the most critical decisions of our own national spaces. So the concept of nationalism or even group identity, collectivism, how they emerge, how they tend to formulate or govern the behavior that we show in international spaces. So the focus of the entire unit is to look at what are the theoretical orientations, what are the perspectives, what are the approaches from the psychological domain that can be very well applied to understanding international relations. How interventions have taken place, how looking at psychological perspective has helped in taking good decisions. How do we talk about rationality? Why most of the states can be irrational at a point of time, while others can be rational in taking their decisions? How do we look at the concept of bounded rationality, or maybe operating from fixed lenses or functional fixity as we develop? So the entire unit categorically tries to look at the idea of usage of the theoretical orientations, developing of new theoretical models, how we can work around that, how we can have a more critical understanding, a more contextual based understanding while we talk about the states. So, how does healing happen? Is it only an individualized concept, or is it something that also operates at the state level? So, if a state has undergone a position of war, of course, there has been a state of trauma. How does that state heal, right? So, the state affecting the state. I think that's the basic idea that can be conveyed while we talk about understanding the psychological processes in international relations. Also, how empathy is important. It is not a human construct, but it is a national construct. It is a global construct. How empathy can actually help us navigate the most difficult challenges that we experience across the time and space. How communication can be a building block. How the bridges can be gapped. How the gaps can be bridged if communication patterns are set in their best tonality. So all these aspects, when you hear, empathy, communication, negotiation, trauma, healing, I know a lot of your first association could be that, are we talking about ourselves? Of course, we are. We are talking about ourselves. We are talking about us as leaders, us as decision makers, us as people who are running the states, and hence the impact of these constructs and factors in governing international behavior, right? So the entire idea is to see the self in the larger context of the country, the nation, the international space that we all are a part of. I wish that we delve deeper into the understanding of this unit, and it helps our understanding more nuanced and critical. Thank you.